And then there's a couple funds, just looking at the first page of the fund totals, there's a couple funds that are over the 50% mark, and the ones that are close I'm not really all that concerned with. I know youth and senior centers is 58%, but parks, can you give us just a rundown of why parks is at 99 and why criminal justice, or one of them is at 67% for criminal justice?
Okay, for parks, we've... Well, really, Parks has used up most of its budget. I've got to look at it and see why. I think, remember we talked about the fact that I'm going to change the Parks fund. I'm going to split out the impact fees, the taxes, because by code, by law, this should have been done years ago. So we're not in compliance with that. The auditors never really looked at it. I'm not sure why, but we need to make two funds. One fund would be like the streets fund. It'd be 105. That would be, we would call that the Park Capital Fund or whatever we want to call it. And we need to codify it, even though we're supposed to have a bank account, because that is codified, separate for those fees. Secondly, we would take the remainder of the fund and put it back in the general fund under Parks Department for all the expenses, because there really are no revenues for that. And so, but right now, we've used up most of the fund balance as far as expenditures. We should have a little bit left for payroll, but I got to look into that and see if I need to move that around. Now, revenue-wise, the reason there's so much, it's gone down so much is because we haven't received our grant reimbursement for the purchase of the Hatch property. That's going to be about $70,000, so that'll make a difference in the fund balance. Now, the criminal justice fund is, it's the best way to say it is it was out of whack because it was never a codified fund. I couldn't find any proof on it. So, and the auditors have me roll it into the general fund every year, so I just decided it would be a lot simpler to follow it if I rolled it in starting in July. So what I did is I took all of the line items, made sure there was no duplicates in the general fund, and put it into the police department. So it's all in one area, and John and I went over that last Friday. It's under budget. It's close because a couple items like the dispatch and jail services are over budget, but everything else is under. So, but it does look weird in here, and that'll go away next time, so it won't be a problem. And the good news is when I run a report, if you run a police report, you'll be able to see just all the police costs revenue that applies to it, and then police flow, and it won't be of two funds. It'll just be that one report, and it'll make it much easier for John to manage it as well, as well as myself.
And then for parks with that 99%, the seasonal help, are they dedicated 100% to parks? And their pay, no benefits, but pay, everything comes out of that fund?
Yeah. And I think we may have to look at it. It won't need a budget amendment because it'll be in the general fund, so it's not really going to need one, but we'll just have to move some, because we're under budget in other areas quite a bit. We can move some of the, like, give me an example. Under the police payroll for admin, it's at 32% as of the end of July. Should be at almost 60%. So there's some areas I'm looking at to see why we're so far over budget, but it's going to be under budget in the end of the day. But the main thrust for parks is to get a good balance that the impact fees and the taxes should have as of 2014. And right now it's commingled, and so I want to work that out to make sure we get that right.
And the way the funds are set up now, it requires council action to transfer those.
Anything that's from outside of one fund to another, inter-fund, has to have council approval. That will be a budget amendment. Everything intra, I can do at my discretion. Of course, I tell the mayor, and then I would report to council on my reports when I do that. It's going to be a lot to follow, but it's, I'll show you. So
but the way it's set up, like if you were to transfer, let's say, to cover parks, as it stands now, it would require council action, but the way you're going to set it up is wrong. So I want to make sure that, like now, I know to look at this, but in the future, I want to make sure we get the same type of details where we can.
Right, and because of the software, I can break out separate reports for each one of those, even though they're all in the general fund. Each department, because it'll be a separate department, but it won't be a separate fund except for the new revenues and capital-related projects to parks. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the second quarter financial reports.
Second. Councilmember Kay, would you like to take your motion?
We went through it pretty extensive detail, asked many of the same questions and more that Trent asked at the Finance Committee meeting. Got answers to most
finance committee, I'm gonna start getting in the habit of getting these things on time, it looks like.
That's right.
There were years where we'd never get quarterly reports within the first month of the next quarter, or within the next year, for a nightmare, so, thank you for getting these done on time.
Oh, my pleasure. My goal is the first week, but we'll get there.
It's not all on me, you don't just push it on.
That's true. We have some research to do.
Further comments from council? Comments from the audience? Being none, all those in favor of approving the second quarter financial report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Agenda Bill 14-137. So, I believe it is.
So I was asked to put this on the agenda. This is something that we approved last year. The Valley Regional Fire Authority, Local 1352, is doing their annual picnic in the park again. They've asked for to be allowed to have a beer garden. The same as last year. They will be roped off. They'll purchase an insurance rider as required. They just asked that I bring it forward. Council should have received something in their email from Jesse. I think you should have it in your box.
Yeah, we don't get there.
Okay. So this is the second year they've done it. They usually kind of rotate around different communities, but they're decided we'll pick it this year. I'll defer all questions to this.
Okay, any comments, questions? Councilmember Garber.
They had it last year, correct?
Yep.
Any problems last year?
No.
Okay.
They have one of their new guys stand guard. So, and it's only for employees of the Valley Regional Fire Authority and their spouses.
Not that, yeah.
No.
I haven't asked that, but I should help prompt you with the vote. But
I'd like to recuse myself from the vote.
So, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda bill. My battery died, so what's the number? Sorry. 14-137.
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Walker, would you like to speak further to it? Okay, and I'm going to give that second to Councilmember Garber. Would you like to speak further?
I think it's a great idea. I think that they deserve it. They do a lot for the community. They do the job well, and as long as they behave and follow the rules, they're good to go. Enjoy your picnic.
Further comments from council? Seeing none, comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Agenda Bill 14-137 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is speed limit on Frontage. Councilmember Walker.
So I remember when we reduced the speed limit down to 25, it was temporary until West Valley Highway was open. It is now open. So are we in the process, or what's the status of moving that back to 35?
Do we want to take that back to the Public Works Committee for discussion to bring back to council? So is council good with that? Are you good with that?
I just wanted to make sure the wheels were in motion at some point.
So, there's been some discussion, but I think it was going to be on the agenda for the Public Works Committee. And then we'll probably have it back on our workshop agenda, more than likely. Okay, Councilmember Garber.
It can be 25 or 55. I agree with Councilmember Jones. Nobody follows the limit. I'm doing 25 and I have people honking at me.
I know.
So
Or going around.
it doesn't, Algona has had a lot of police presence in the last week. I don't know if they just sit there and do their paperwork or what they're doing, but that has gotten people to slow down in that area. So, but it is, that and frontage, no one does the 25.
Second and third in Ellington?
Yeah.
Yes.
That entire stretch from West Valley, no one does 25.
Okay, so the recommendation is to move this back to, okay?
And I'm sorry, you're all about here. But I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and add an agenda item for discussion about communications regarding the public hearing for the marijuana issues. So I could have
Okay. All those in favor of suspending the rules to add another item to the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
And the label.
So I heard one no. Okay, Councilmember Page.
So, when Kate mentioned that her neighbors didn't know, I think that's a common concern. We've struggled with communications in the past, so I don't think council needs to take action, but I'd like the mayor's office to draw plans on how they want to communicate this, and maybe council can make some recommendations that have worked in the past. I know that we've done the reverse dialing system in the past. Even if it's 5 days away.
It's a week away.
Well, we can do the reverse phone call that seemed to help in the past. Reader boards. I think we just need to get as many people out as we can. So, and even if it's a special mailing, I think it's worth the money to send something out. I know it's tight, and this should have been planned before. Like, this shouldn't be a shocker. We knew it was coming, and we've struggled with bad communication in the past. So we need to fix it, and it's more executive than legislative.
Councilmember Page.
I just think that we've advertised for every meeting that we've put out. We advertised for the work group. People were free to attend that and provide input to help with fact finding and gathering. And we allowed a lot of input from the audience to provide whatever input they could provide that would guide us in the right direction to find the facts we need to find. And I just don't think there's as much opposition as everyone's trying to seek. I see people seeking opposition to it and ignoring the fact that when people are silent on something, it's because they really don't care.
That's what we get.
Councilmember Garber-Dean.
I don't know if this is appropriate, but being a part of that root group that you had, I would say at least 80% of the audience were either growers, wanting to be producers, or wanting to be retailers. They weren't from our community.
But the community was welcome to come, and it was advertised. They were open public meetings.
I agree.
Councilmember Putnam.
Yeah, this is an issue that goes back many years, not just on this issue. I mean, what animals do we allow? What fence types do we allow? We routinely advertise public hearings, but we don't actually have a local paper. The best we can do is, Auburn Reporter sometimes will give us good coverage, but not everybody in town gets it. We don't have an effective means of reaching the broad public of Pacific. Short of controversies that make TV news, our advertising methods are slightly more effective than word of mouth, but not much. They meet the legal requirements for public advertising. They get decent turnout for the size of our meetings, but when you think that there are, a little over 6,000 people in town now, how many of them have turned out to express their opinion one way or the other on any issue in the past year? So it's not specific to this issue, but it is an ongoing problem that we really do need some better means to address.
Councilmember Slager, did you have a comment?
Well, yeah, I know how to get it out. Just put out that we're disbanding our police department. Believe me, we get them out.
Councilmember Garber-Dean.
Can I ask how much it would cost to send a quick mailing out in a postcard? Postcards are 28 cents. I don't know how many mailing addresses there are in the city of Pacific, or do you just have to mail them to registered voters?
Mail them to everybody on the utility bill. It's like $1,800.
About $2,500.
Or $2,500.
That's
Yeah.
$2,500 to get them.
Well, 500 total residents
Oh,
mailed to,
sorry.
so it probably would be less than that.
Okay, so
Depends on the printing.
2,500 residents, and divide that by 4, so would it be worth the
Right,
5 or 6?
four.
Well, because the postcard's 28.
Oh,
The
it's
processing
just the
28.
same, the mailing is the same.
Yeah, the printing of the cards.
Would it be worth let's say $900 to $1,000 to mail?
So, and I guess that's one of my first thoughts is, fine, we could just send out a little flyer saying we're gonna have a public hearing. Okay, then comes the issue, okay, what are the ordinances that are gonna be considered? What is the meat of those ordinances that are gonna be considered? Because all that information is gonna be wanted, all right?
Directly to the website.
We already have it on the website, at the library, at the post office, and on Channel 21 right now. But I'm all in favor, I'm just saying, if we send, I can direct staff tomorrow to put up a flyer, get it in the mail, and it could be in the mailboxes, you know, people's mailbox